So take a moment to find a seat on your mat. Close your eyes. This will help draw your attention inward. But then sit tall, and this will help bring an alertness to your mind. Many people think when we close our eyes that we're trying to shut out the outside world. But the reality is we're just trying to redirect our focus inward. We're not trying to shut out the outside. And at a certain stage or phase in our yoga practice, we may realize that there really isn't a difference between what we call inside and what we call outside. But until that day comes, we want to focus on what we're calling the inside. What we think, how we feel, our sense perceptions. So doing that now, what do you find inside yourself? How does your body feel? How does your heart feel, your emotions? And what is the state of your mind? Ideally, we find the body free of pain and discomfort. We find the heart full of love, compassion, joy. And we find the mind calm, peaceful, and ready to handle whatever task that we ask it to focus on next. So if this is not what we find, this is one of the reasons why we do a practice like the one we're doing today. Because it has the potential to move us closer toward those goals. Very important in realizing that potential is our attitude and our approach. What is it that we think we're doing? What is it that we think is important about what we're doing? What do we focus on? So I'd like you to focus on your breathing. Gradually begin to deepen your breathing by inhaling first into the belly, then the ribs, and then the upper chest. And as you exhale, just reverse that. This is called three-part yogic breathing, or dirga. After establishing this nice deep three-part breath, I'd like to invite you to begin to create a sound at the back of your throat like you're fogging a mirror. This is called Ujjayi. These days, when people think of yoga, they think of postures. They often see the breathing techniques as an add-on to doing the postures. I would like you to think of the postures as an add-on to the breathing techniques. The breathing techniques are more powerful, and they, again, will help move us toward those goals of a pain-free body, a heart full of joy, and a mind that is calm and peaceful. So keep the breathing going, and with the next exhale, come forward into a tabletop position on the hands and the knees. Let's begin warming up the spine. Inhale, tailbone lifts, belly drops, crown of the head up. Exhale, tuck tailbone, round the back, crown of the head down. Then coming back to neutral, bring the knees to touch, take a deep breath. Exhale the hips to one side as you look over the opposite shoulder. Inhale, center, and exhale to the other side. And then coming back to center, taking the knees hip distance. Bring the hands to touch. And then inhale the right arm up, follow with your gaze. Exhale that hand down. Inhale the left hand up, follow with your gaze. And moving side to side. Good. Coming back to neutral, hands shoulder width, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and come into your first downward dog. And we'll make this an active, dynamic, moving downward dog. So pedaling the feet, rolling over the toes, circling the ankles, bending the knees, kicking the legs. These are all things that you can try. And then coming into your full expression of downward dog. The hands shoulder width, fingers spread wide, palms firmly planted on the ground. Chest actively drawing toward the toes, feet hip distance, and the heels reaching toward the ground. Notice if the breath has changed, and see if you can implement the same breathing as you had when we were seated earlier throughout the entire practice, no matter what posture we're doing. With the next exhalation, walk your feet toward your hands, coming into a ragdoll, grabbing the opposite elbow and dangling at the front edge of the mat. You can sway your hips, bend your knees, nod or shake your head. And then with the arms relaxed on an inhalation, just gradually rolling up to standing, stacking ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and heels. Let's begin with a standing back bend. As we inhale, we draw our arms up, touch palms, and lengthen from the pubic bone through the chin. You can let your head drop back unless there's pain in your neck, in which case keep the chin tucked. Inhaling through center, exhale to a forward fold. Bring the palms flat and bend the knees as much as necessary. Inhale to the fingertips or take hands to the shins as you lengthen your spine. And as you exhale, plant the hands and step to the top of a push-up for plank pose. In plank, align your ears, shoulders, hips, knees, and heels. Place the wrist directly below the shoulders and actively press the ground away from you with your shoulders. Take a deep breath, and with the next exhalation, drop the knees and bend the arms, coming down halfway, elbows hugging your ribs. Take a breath here, and with the next exhale, lower the rest of the way down. And as you inhale, press into the tops of your feet and the palms of your hands, and lift your head, neck, and chest for Cobra. With the exhale, lower back down, press to tabletop, and then to downward facing dog. Feel free to use this slightly modified Vinyasa throughout the rest of the class. We'll learn a slightly more challenging version now. Inhale to the toes, look between the hands, and as you exhale, step, jump, or float to the front edge of the mat. So you inhale, come all the way up to standing, and as you exhale, grab your right wrist as you pull your arm over to the left and send your hips to the right for half moon. Once again, we're lengthening that whole right side of the body. Let's inhale back to center, switch wrists. We exhale over to the other side. Same thing here. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale to forward fold. Inhaling to half lift. Exhale to the top of a push-up. Decide if you'd like to do knees up or down, but recognize the most important thing when doing a push-up is bending your arms deeply. So the worst way to do a push-up looks something like this, and then flopping into up dog. So we really want to avoid that. So it's much better to drop the knees and bend the arms deeply than it is to keep the knees raised and not bend the arms. So make a wise choice. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, lower down halfway. Inhale, straighten arms and legs for up dog. And if you can't do that, then just repeat Cobra, which was the last back bend that we did in this position. As you exhale, pull both feet in at the same time as you lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. From downward dog, inhale to the toes, and as you exhale, make your way to the front edge of your mat. Inhale all the way to standing back bend. Exhale to half moon, maybe going a little deeper as you warm up. Inhale to center, and exhale to the other side. Inhale to center, and exhale as you sit into an imaginary seat for chair pose. Try and keep those knees back over the heels, but sink those hips down. Take the tailbone and just tuck it slightly. And at the same time, draw those arms straight up and back to frame the ears. There should be a bit of a fire, a bit of an intensity in this posture. So if you're not feeling that, just drop those hips down a little bit more. Let's take a full breath in, and as we exhale, release into forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhaling to half lift, exhale, step, jump, or float to the bottom of a push-up. Inhale to up dog or cobra. And as you exhale, try and put a push-up in on your way out as you return to down dog. If not, go straight back or use the tabletop variation to make it even easier. Okay, from downward dog, let's bring feet to touch, and we'll inhale the right leg up and back for three-legged dog pose. As we exhale, let's pull the knee in toward the belly, out to the right and back behind. We'll make some big circles here with the knee. Do a few in one direction, and then do a few in the opposite direction. Good. Take a nice deep breath, and then as you exhale, lunge. Drop the back knee, and then inhale to a low lunge. This is called Anjaneyasana. The stretch should be felt at the front of your left hip, and pushing the hips forward, bringing the arms back. See if you can extend the stretch down to your left knee and up to your left wrist. The right foot is directly below the knee, and that foot and knee point straight ahead. Good. Let's take a nice deep breath, and as we exhale, release to the bottom of a push-up, making your way back to downward dog. In downward dog, we bring feet to touch. We inhale the left leg up and back. As we exhale, we bring the knee toward the belly, out to the left and back behind. Do a few in one direction, and then do a few in the opposite direction. Then take a nice deep breath, exhale and lunge, and inhale to a low lunge. Take a nice deep breath, exhale, bottom of the push-up, making your way back to downward facing dog. Let's take a nice deep breath, and we'll exhale to a tabletop position. In tabletop, let's take a look at the tiger pose. Hands under your shoulders, knees hip distance. Inhale and lift your right leg up, and notice how I'm pointing my toes toward my head. Simultaneously, I'm going to reach the crown of my head toward my toes. Some people may actually be able to touch the sole of the foot to the crown of the head. As you can see, not even close. It's not important. I'm still making that action, and that's what's important. It is a back bend, okay? So keep that in mind. We're letting the belly drop, but we don't want any pain in the back. Let's exhale, bring that leg down. And we're going to inhale to the other side. This is tiger, Vajragrasana in Sanskrit. And notice if your breathing changes at all as you do this. And again, focus in on that breathing. Good. Let's exhale that leg, and then we'll go back to the downward facing dog. Okay, from the downward dog, let's go ahead and inhale to our toes. As we exhale, we step, jump, or float to the front edge of the mat. Inhale all the way to standing back bend. And as we exhale, we come down into a low squat. This is called malasana. So your heels may or may not reach the ground. It's okay if they don't. But if you feel really unstable, feel free to slide something underneath your heels. Okay? And then what we'd like is the hands together just right between those elbows. And the elbows are pressing into my knees, and it's just creating a little bit of a groin stretch on the inside of the thighs. At the same time, I'm extending the crown of my head out away from my tailbone, my waist. So I'm creating some stretch in my low back. So this tends to be a fairly straightforward and easy posture for many people, but if it isn't for you, that's okay. You just do the best that you can and make sure that you're not hurting yourself while doing it. Okay, with the next inhale, let's come all the way back up to standing. And we exhale to forward fold Uttanasana. Inhaling to Ardha Uttanasana, or half lift. And we exhale right to the bottom of a push-up, making your way back to downward facing dog. In downward dog, we bring our feet to touch. We inhale the right leg up and back to three-legged dog pose. So in this pose, I'd like the leg straight, the foot flexed, the toe, knee, and hip pointing straight toward the ground. Notice that I can lift my leg much, much higher if I lift my hip, but that's not the pose. So the hip is down and the leg is straight. Let's take a deep breath, and as we exhale, we'll lunge. And then we inhale into a high lunge, Ashta Chandrasana. So front foot and knee point straight ahead. The front thigh approaches parallel with the ground. The back leg is straight. The heel pressing toward the ground directly behind the toes. Left hip forward, right hip back. And the arms are straight up and back, framing the ears. Let's take a nice deep breath, and we exhale right to the bottom of a push-up, making our way to downward facing dog. Let's do the other side. So feet touch, we inhale the left leg up and back. And we bring that leg into the three-legged dog pose. Let's take a nice deep breath, and as we exhale, we lunge, and then we inhale to a high lunge, crescent lunge. Let's take a nice deep breath, and we'll exhale right to the bottom of a push-up, making our way back to downward facing dog. From downward dog, let's exhale to a tabletop, and we'll take another look at our tiger pose. This time we'll add some dynamic movement. So inhale. Again, notice that my toes are pointing toward the crown of my head, crown of the head towards my toes. Now as I exhale, I tuck it in and I try and touch my knee to my nose, chin, or forehead. Notice I'm now rounding my back. So this is like a forward bend. Inhale to the back bend. And exhale, forward bend. Good. 3 more like that. Two more times. And one more. And let's hold the knee to the nose or chin or forehead. Don't hold the breath though. Good. Inhale that leg up and back. And exhale, release. Take a breath. Dynamic tiger, side 2. Inhale, left leg, crown of the head toward the toes. Exhale, knee to nose. 4 more times. Two more. One more time. Bring it in and hold. Good. Inhale, lift. And exhale, release. Make your way to downward dog. You can go straight back or vinyasa. Generally, the more vinyasas, the more heat or tapas that we create. The more heat, generally, the more purification is happening. Okay, so inhale to the toes. We're going to exhale to the front edge of our mat. Or actually, no, let's stay right here. And we'll exhale to a tabletop. Now let's take a look at a pose called the dolphin pose. I'd like you to drop down to your forearms. Reach across, just grab the opposite elbow or arm, and then you bring your forearms to the ground. Now you can either bring your palms down or you can do one of these if you prefer. Okay, so either one is fine with me. Palms down, fingers interlaced. Then what we'd like to do is tuck our toes and lift our hips like so. And this is called a dolphin plank. And you walk your feet in as much as you can. Now the key to doing the dolphin is not collapsing in the shoulders. So you're actively pressing the ground away from you as you hold this position. If that's a little bit too much for you, you can come back into this position, which is a forearm plank. And if that's too much, you can even drop your knees. But again, it's this active engagement through the shoulders that we're looking for. Okay, good. From there, we can come down, and then you can vinyasa or go straight back to your downward facing dog. From our downward dog, let's bring the feet to touch. We're going to inhale the right leg up and back. We'll bend the knee and bring that leg over to the left and just open up the front of the hip and the side of the waist a little bit. So kind of like a scorpion tail. You got your leg going off into the side. Good. Take a nice deep breath, and as you exhale, lunge. Inhale up into crescent lunge. Exhale as you sink in. And with the next inhale, straighten the front knee. As you exhale, bend your knee, bend your arms, and bend your back, and increase the stretch at the front of your left hip. I'm going to do that 4 more times. Notice I'm not rushing, okay? So the breath is slow and it's deep. That affects the nervous system. It calms it down. This helps to calm the mind. Good. Deep breath in and exhale, bottom of your push-up, making your way to downward facing dog. Okay, so side 2. Bring the feet to touch. Inhale, left leg up and back. Bend the knee, open the hip. Good. Take a deep breath and exhale as you lunge. And inhale to a high lunge. Exhale, sink into it. Inhale, straighten the front knee. Exhale, bend the knee, bend your arms, bend your back. Good. Deep breath in and exhale to the bottom push-up, making your way to downward facing dog. Let's take a nice deep breath in. We exhale to a tabletop position, and we'll take another look at the tiger pose. We'll do another dynamic version. This time what we'd like to do is add in the arm. So we inhale the leg up and the arm, crown of the head lifts. Exhale, we pull the elbow and the knee past one another. We tuck that chin in. Good. Inhale, lifting up, and exhale, squeeze. 3 more times. Two more. And one more time. This time, when we pull it in, let's hold. We're not holding our breath, we're just holding the pose. Good. Inhale, lift, and exhale, release. Side 2, inhale, and exhale. Last one, we're going to hold. Good. Inhale, extend, exhale, release. From there, make your way to the downward facing dog. Okay, from downward dog, let's take a nice deep breath. We'll exhale, step, jump, or float to the front edge of the mat. Inhale to our standing back bend, and we'll exhale again into Malasana, which is this pose here. Now remember, when we repeat things that are difficult for us, our body tends to adapt. As long as we're not too violent or too forceful with our body tries to accommodate whatever it is that we're asking it to do. So if this was challenging, then just try and repeat it again, see what happens. If you're ready to take it to the next step, repeat the dolphin. The dolphin is a great way to strengthen those shoulders. Many people have a lot of weakness in the shoulder. If you're ready to take it to the next step, we're going to try something I call a baby bakasana, or a baby crow. So we do the same thing. We come down to hands and knees. We reach across, grab the opposite elbow, bring those forearms to the ground. And then, like dolphin, we tuck those toes, lift those hips, and we walk it in, and we try and place our elbows against the back of the arms, maybe right into the armpit, or this is called your femur. If you have a long femur, you might hug the sides of your shoulders instead. I can fit my knees into my armpits, but some people won't be able to. Their torso is too short and their femur is too long, okay? So forearms are on the ground. Now I come forward. Again, shoulders are engaged, so I'm not collapsing down here. I'm not expecting my bones and muscles to hold me up. I'm using my muscles, okay? So that's very important. This is not passive, active here. And then I lift my toes up. I can do one at a time, and then if I feel stable, I bring the toes to touch. Now, some people have trouble with this because they lack the strength and coordination, but some people, it's just flexibility. So just try your best. Don't worry if you can't do it. Don't decide that you're not strong or you're not flexible or you can't do arm balances. Just do your best. If you're not able to do it, don't worry about it. We'll do some other things in a moment. Okay, so let's inhale, back up to standing back bend. Exhale to the forward fold. We'll inhale to a half lift, and we exhale, make our way back to downward facing dog. Okay, from our downward facing dog, let's bring our feet to touch. We'll inhale the right leg up and back. We'll bend the knee, open that hip, and if you feel comfortable doing so, you can flip your dog over, and then we can move this arm in the air a little bit. That's called your glenohumeral joint, your shoulder joint. So we're just giving it a little love, a little movement. Joints generally like to be moved. It helps keep them healthy and strong. And then from there, we'll exhale to a lunge. We inhale to a crescent lunge. And we exhale to a warrior 3, Virabhadrasana 3 pose. Okay, so my left leg is exactly like three-legged dog pose. Foot is flexed, toe, knee, and hip pointing down. Leg is straight. Arms parallel with the ground, chest parallel with the ground. Good. Take a nice deep breath. Exhale, bottom of your push-up, making your way to downward facing dog. From down dog, we bring our feet to touch. We inhale that left leg up and back. Bend the knee, open the hip. And again, this may not be for everybody. So if you're anxious about putting that weight on one arm or one shoulder, then just skip it today. If you've got a shoulder injury and this aggravates it, don't do it. Good, we take a nice deep breath. Exhale as we lunge. We inhale to a high lunge. And we exhale to a warrior 3. So reach your heel away from your fingertips and the crown of your head.
So it's like sending energy out through your fingertips, out through your right heel. Good. Deep breath, exhale, bottom of the push-up, making your way to the downward facing dog. Let's take a nice deep breath, and as we exhale, we'll come down to a tabletop position. And let's take a look at Ekahasta Vyagrasana, the one-handed tiger pose. We inhale to a tiger, and then this time we reach back with our right hand and grab the foot. And we kick up and back. So again, it is a back bend, it's a quad stretch, a hip flexor stretch. Stretch for the pec and the anterior deltoid. Good, exhale, release. And let's do the one-handed tiger pose on the other side. Good, exhale, release. From there, you can make your way back to downward facing dog. From downward dog, let's inhale to our toes. We'll exhale to the front edge of the mat. We inhale up to our standing back bend. And then from there we exhale down into our squat, Galavasana. Okay, so again, you want to find a little bit of challenge. So if this is challenging, you can stay here. If that dolphin, the forearm posture was challenging, then you can work on that. If that little baby crow pose was a challenge, then I suggest working there. However, if you're ready to move on to the next step, then we'll try crow pose, Bakasana. So to do the crow pose, we take our hands shoulder width, and you'll notice that I have this deep bend in my arm. I want to keep that deep bend. So even when I bring my hands to the ground, I want to keep that deep bend. It's about a 90-degree angle, right angle here, okay? So my hands and elbows are about shoulder width. Biomechanically, that creates a lot of stability. If I have my elbows out at the sides, not over my wrists, it's much less stable. So I'm stacking everything so that the weight of my body is supported by these muscles and joints here, okay? Now, once I have my hands on the ground, key step, a little bit counterintuitive, is I really want to lift my butt really high. The reason for that is most of my weight is here. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or what size you are. This is just where really we have really big muscles in our body, in our hips and our legs. So those muscles are very heavy. So I want to lift my hips up way high. Now look at my arms, they're still bent, okay? So I'm trying to bring my weight over my wrist. That's why my butt is up high. I look up because I tend to move in the direction I look in. So I want to look up, not down. And then I shift weight from my feet onto my arms. And then I can play around a little bit. Just lifting. And I want to see, does my arm collapse when I do that? If it does, then I may need to build some more upper body strength. If it doesn't, I can try lifting both heels at the same time. And that's called crow pose, Bakasana, and that's an arm balance. And it's usually the first arm balance that people learn. It's the classic arm balance, you might say. Okay? So again, give it the old college try. And then let's go ahead and inhale. Come all the way up to standing. Exhale to a forward fold. Inhale to half lift, and we'll exhale right to the bottom of a push-up, making our way back to downward facing dog. Okay, so from here, we'll take a look at another arm balance. And this one is a very challenging arm balance. So what I recommend is just give it the old college try, see what happens, and don't worry about it if you're not able to do it. So bringing the feet to touch, we inhale the right leg up and back. Exhale that knee high up on the arm, and then shift your weight forward and lift the back leg. And that's called one-legged crow pose. First variation, okay? Let's inhale that leg up and back. Exhale, lunge. Then we inhale up into crescent lunge. Exhale the arms out like wings. Join index finger and thumb. Take a deep breath, and the next exhale, kick off the back leg. Flex the foot. And bring the crown of the head toward the heel of your foot. And this is called the bird pose, or Vinyasa. Good, take a nice deep breath. Exhale bottom of your push-up and make your way back to downward dog. Okay, let's bring the feet to touch. Inhale left leg up and back. And let's just see what happens when we touch the knee to the arm and we lift that back leg. Good, inhale the leg up and back. Exhale, lunge. Inhale to a high lunge. Exhale, grow some wings. Take a deep breath. And exhale to the bird. Let's take a deep breath. We exhale bottom of the push-up, making our way to the downward dog. Okay, take a nice deep breath. Exhale to a tabletop position. And let's take a look at one last tiger pose. This one is the same side tiger. So I bring that right leg up. I try and grab it with my right hand, and I kick up and back. Now, even though again, I can lift the leg higher if I lift the hip, I'm trying to keep my hip down while maintaining balance. Not easy to do. Good, exhale, release, and then take the other side. Good. Exhale, release, and make your way back to downward facing dog. From the downward dog, let's inhale to our toes. We'll exhale to the front edge of the mat. Let's inhale all the way to our standing back bend. We'll exhale our hands out to the sides with the palms facing out, thumbs facing back. And then bending the knee, reach back, grab the foot, ankle or shin. Any of these are fine. Just going to move back a bit. Okay. Then draw the knees together. Inhale,
the left arm up. And exhale, kick back as you hinge from the hips and come into, this is sometimes called the standing bow and sometimes it's called the dancer pose. Good. Inhale, come on up. And exhale, release the pose. Take a breath. And then other side, same thing. Good. Inhale, come on up. And exhale, release the pose. Inhale up to standing back bend. Exhale to a forward fold. Inhale to half lift. And let's just exhale right down onto our belly. Right hand over the left hand, forehead on the back of the hands. All right, so we've done one leg at a time during today's class. Let's see if we can do both legs together in the back bend. So we bend the knee, both knees, reach back, and we grab the foot, ankle, or shin as before. Now, if there's any pain in your knee, don't do this back bend. Do this one instead, where you just lift the legs and the arms. But hopefully you're well warmed up enough that you can do this pain-free. Exhale here, and then inhale, kicking back. Okay, so this is a movement we've done a lot in today's class. But now we're doing both legs together. Good. The next exhale, come on down, left hand over right, forehead on the back of the hands. Just relax. Good. From there, let's press back into this position with our hips over our knees, knees and feet hip distance, hands on the low back, pinkies together, elbows in toward one another. And then you can tuck the toes if you'd like to make your heels a little easier to grab. This is called camel. Inhale, lift the heart, press the hips forward, lifting up. And then from there, you can let your chin go back if it feels okay in your neck. And you can grab your heels if it feels okay in your back. Hips forward, heart lifts. Good. Inhale, come on up. And if you're able to, without hurting your knees or ankles, press back into this position. This is called Vajrasana. If that hurts, just choose another position that's comfortable. Relax.
Good, let's cross those ankles. We'll roll back over them. And then we make our way back onto our back. And let's take a look at one more back bend. It's called the bridge. Our feet and knees are hip distance. Hands rest alongside the hips. And we just press into our feet, lift our hips up, interlace those fingers, shrug one shoulder under and then the other, and then we lift those hips even higher. Okay, and then if I want to go a step further, I bring my hands to the ground, a little wider than my shoulders, and then I press up into this position, which is called a wheel, also known as upward bow. Good, when you're ready, exhale, gently come on down. Let your knees knock in against one another. Just relax. And then just let your knees drop side to side, let your hips rock. From there, you can bring your legs in, give them a nice squeeze, make a few circles with the knees. And then extend the arms and drop the knees to the left as you look to your right. Close your eyes and let your breath be natural. So inhale, knees back through center. Exhale to the other side. Good. Inhale, knees back to center. Grab the soles of the feet. It's called Happy Baby. So I'm definitely feeling my back after those back bends. And I'm going to use this just to stretch my low back a little bit. The back and the hips are all connected, so working the legs also helps me get into that back a little bit. Okay, and then when you're ready, you unwind onto your back. Now, I know everyone thinks this is the part of the class that you skip, but if you can, I recommend you don't skip it. Your feet are comfortably apart, your arms at a comfortable distance from your body, palms up, head centered, chin tucked in slightly, eyes closed. And this is called Shavasana. For the next 6 minutes, just let your body rest in stillness.